It's nice to live in. It's not the easy life, but it's a little bit slower. And you have to learn to start appreciating the good things. I never thought I would look at driving a truck or firing a gun or having barbecue way too many times, but it happens. It happens.
Welcome to Gone to Texas, the official podcast of the Texas Economic Development Connection. On every episode, we share the stories of business owners and CEOs who have relocated or expanded their business into Texas. Our goal is to use these stories as a guide to help others who are ready to hang a sign on the door that says, Gone to Texas. And now, please welcome your host, the managing partner and chief inspiration officer for Day One Experts, Super Dave Quinn.
All right. Howdy, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Gone to Texas podcast, powered by Day One Experts, where we share real stories of business growth, relocation, and entrepreneurship here in the Lone Star State. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, and today's episode is sponsored by our friends at the Jacksonville, Texas Economic Development Corporation in the Upper East Texas region of Texas. Led by Shane Pace, the Jacksonville EDC is a team committed to building long-term opportunities for their community. Our guest today is Ronald Bekker, Managing Director of Luva, North America, a global leader in industrial heat exchange and cooling solutions. Ronald is an international change manager and heat exchange expert. Today, we are talking about one of the biggest forces shaping Texas, data centers, and why a global company like Luva is choosing the Upper East Texas region and Jacksonville specifically to build their most significant investment ever. Ronald, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, so before we dive into the project that you've got going there in Jacksonville, tell us a little bit about who Luva, where did it start, and who are your customers?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dave. Luva is originally an Italian company located just north of Milano, the northern part of Italy. And they have grown into one of the world's main producers of what we call fin and tube heat exchangers. So fin and tube that's a special technology. You have heat exchangers in all sorts of shapes. They are being used in almost anything from cooling your house to preserving your food or the blood that they give you, the medication that you get from the CVS or the Walgreens. So without heat exchangers, I would say civilization stops. It's like a hidden champion. Luva is a global, an Italian group, globally active. We have 19 production plants. The only continent that we don't have any plants is in Africa. But apart from that, we have approximately 10 plants in Europe, Scandinavia, Italy, Czech Republic, Poland. We have 2 plants in India. We have plants in China, and since 2018, we are active here in the U.S. I think the second part of your question was, what do you do with these heat exchangers? What are they being used for? We supply to a lot of applications. We supply to what we call commercial refrigeration. So if you go to your supermarket or your convenience store, you will have the cabinets in which you have your cool products. We would supply coils for that. On the other side, we are currently supplying full units for the first nuclear power plant that is being built in Europe since 20 years in UK. Basically everything in between. So that means cooling for transports, cooling for protein processing, cooling for cold storage, cooling for power, cooling for data centers. The variety is enormous. We can cater on a global scale, we can cater any need that might arise. Now, in the story in US is a little bit different. But before I start telling you everything, I mean, maybe you want to just dive into the topic a little bit more.
Well, the next question I was going to ask you is really more about you, and you've had a very international career. Tell us a little bit about your current role and sort of walk us through your journey of coming to Texas, because as we say, you sound like you're not from around here.
I still do. So, not from around. Yeah, I know. I hear it all the time. Well, actually, I've been in this industry I think I started in 1999, and have been in this industry since with various, let's say, leading suppliers of many heat exchangers, but also compressors, components. My background is I'm not a technician. I have a business background. I spent a lot of time working in business development, sales, marketing, and moved into general management around 2008, 2009. I joined Luva by accident. Actually, I worked for a company that they acquired in 2001 or 2002. And since the heat exchange business is a small world, I knew the people, the ownership of Luva, and I think the chairman of the board, Mr. Matteo Liberani, he in the back of his mind, they were chewing on his big investment, and he was looking for somebody that he felt confident enough to lead that. And he asked me, would you be interested to do that? I've been in the business since 1999. I'm not going to have too many adventures. I don't have too many adventures left. So I thought, yeah, I think that would be a nice challenge for me. Right? When I was 30 or 35 years old, I always wanted to come to the US. At a certain moment, you don't think it's going to happen. So I wasn't actively pursuing it. But when I got the opportunity, I said yes. I'll be gladly do that. We then went into a long process to get the paperwork done, because I tell you, it is not easy to come to the US and work here legally. So that took almost a year. So I came last year, March 1st. I joined what is now new the US. Came here together with my wife. We live in Tyler. We don't live in Jacksonville. We live in Tyler. It's been, what shall I say? It's a different world for Europe. So I live in the Netherlands. We are focused here that the people have is a little bit different from what we have. So it's a little bit more traditional. I don't mind. I kind of like that. I think there is a lot of appreciation for good old-fashioned values, and that's something that we need in our business. We need people that are committed to what they do. People that you can actually, I'm not going to say do anything on a handshake, but trust and confidence is important in doing business. And I think we're finding a lot of that here in Jacksonville in East Texas. And my feeling is that this is a market which is very much based on personal contacts. And if you, I see that as a benefit. I see that as a plus.
Since you've been living in East Texas, what's some of the things that you've mentioned a little bit of that, the values and that sort of thing, but what's been your experience? Has there been anything that surprised you, or something that maybe you thought was one way and then when you got here you realized not what you had in mind?
You don't know what to expect. As a tourist or as a business traveler, the places you're visiting are New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami. That's what you see. I have the feeling I'm in the real USA. Living here in East Texas, I feel like I can't be living in a more American environment than what we found here. Is there anything what surprises me? Well, you have to get used. People tend to hang on to their stuff for a long time. Put it outside. all that stuff. So I think Europe is all a little bit more. At least the Netherlands is a lot more organized than what it appears to be here. But somehow it all functions. It all functions. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what surprised me? People always say the friendliness of the people. You know, just courtesy, opening the door. Good morning. Good. How you doing? You know, that's sort of thing. I appreciate that. I think it's something that we're lacking on the other side of the ocean. On the other side, the people are more private, in their opinions, and maybe a little bit more, let's say, grouped together around their family, the church. That's as a central point of society. And so, yeah, it's nice to live here. It's not the easy life, but it's a little bit slower. And you have to learn to start appreciating the good things here. I never thought I would look at driving a truck or firing a gun or having barbecue way too many times, but it happens. It happens.
Well, that's awesome. So, being a European-based company, what was the draw to the U.S. market? Was it were they already here and you just moved in to expand that, or what was the move into the U.S. for?
It was before my time. I know they were looking. Everyone is eyeing US. Has been eyeing US for a long time. Luva was busy, let's say, digesting another acquisition in Europe, a big one, and setting up business in China. But around 2016 and 17, they started looking at companies to buy. And the focus was very much on commercial refrigeration companies. There happens to be a lot of that activity in the Jacksonville area. So there is a tradition in our component industry here. And they managed to find a company called Cyclus. And they made a deal with Cyclus. And basically that was the foothold here in the West. Cyclus was in Jacksonville. Texas is interesting from a business point of view. The tax base is interesting. I don't think there was a conscious choice to go to Jacksonville. It was just the company was there. But during the process, of course, we were being led to, let's say, what could the future look like, because Cyclus was seen as a starting. So in that process, we also acquired 55 acres here at the south end of Jacksonville. 55 acres is a lot for future production. And we started building a dedicated production facility for one specific customer. And so we're operating two plants. At this moment, we're operating the old plant, which is a point plant, and we're operating this dedicated line here on the 55 acres. And then I think COVID hit. It was 2001. Or, yeah, it was 2000, 2001.
2020, 2021?
2021, there you go. 2021. COVID hit, and that kind of put everything on delay, on hold. And a couple of years later, it started looking at the investment again. And, of course, you have a certain business plan that you need to be flexible. In that time, we were seeing first signs of this data center market beginning to not boom, but speed up, so to say. Okay? And that was about the period that I joined the company. So we went through our business planning again, and we made some adjustments, we made some revisions, and we actually decided that this was a development which is very good for us, because when you look at the sort of product that is needed for the application data centers and for the linked application power, because you can only run the data center where you have power. So you're not just talking about cooling the data centers in order to do the processing. You're also talking about making sure that the infrastructure to get the power to the data centers is clean. So it's in a way for us, it's a double opportunity. We are one of the most knowledgeable companies when it comes to this technology. We have we have a global presence. Not many companies have that. It means that when you're looking at the big players globally, they can get the same, very similar products from us. In China, in Europe, in the US, that is a big, big benefit because they work with global designs, they are looking at global sourcing partners. And that just, and all of a sudden having that presence here in the US started becoming very important because the global players are US companies. So we pushed really hard over the last year and a half. And I'm still sitting here in the container on the trailer where we have been for a number of years, or the team has been for a number of years, but the offices are waiting for the furniture to be delivered. The equipment, there are 230,000 square feet production facility here. The equipment is being rolled in, and we're going to have the first units leaving the factory, I think, somewhere in April. And these will be units that will be amongst the biggest that the market has ever seen, with the highest capacity density that is available on the market. And I think we're going to be a hit.
Jacksonville, Texas is quickly emerging as the manufacturing and industrial hub of East Texas. Jacksonville offers available real estate, strong infrastructure, workforce development programs, and local, state, and federal incentives to support business growth. Additionally, Norman Industrial Park provides 80 acres of industrially zoned land with direct access to Highway 69 and essential utility infrastructure. With a commitment to fostering business success, Jacksonville is an excellent place for companies looking to expand or relocate. So tell me, 230, what's your workforce look like?
Our workforce at this moment is about 100 people. We think when we have the lines, so we are planning 2 lines. At this moment, we have space to put another line in place in this facility, and then we have the space to build what we have built here another 2 times. Right? Our workforce will, if you look at blue collar, we're going to be around 250.
Oh, wow.
But you need a lot of support staff. We need engineers. We need thermodynamical engineers. We need project managers. So we need application engineers on a sales team. And then we need everything that you need to run a company. We need controlling and accountants and all of that. And when I look at a business plan, this has the potential to be the biggest, not just plan, but the biggest activity that Luva Group has globally. That is the scale of the projects. I mean, you've seen it. A year ago, when the government started announcing all those deals, $1 billion is nothing nowadays. $1 billion US, it's nothing. It is, to a certain extent, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, you're talking such crazy money. When you look at how much is being invested. But it's being done. It needs to be cool, and people need big companies, big production plants with a high output to facilitate the building of those data centers. Because let's be honest, if we're not doing those right, those data centers will not be running or for a very short time. So it's an absolute necessity.
So when you're talking about that sort of workforce, I mean, you're pulling not just from Jacksonville, you're pulling from a pretty large region, especially when you're talking about engineers and whatnot.
Yeah. Is that easy? Is your question. How are you doing that? Yeah. That's a challenge. I think that's the main challenge. I mean, the people are there, but they're working somewhere else to a large extent. They're good qualified people. They have jobs. So what you need to do as an employer is you have to make sure that you're attractive employer. Our production, we're in a new location. Our production are always air conditioned. We've got a 230,000 square feet production air conditioning.
Which is kind of nice when you're talking about East Texas, right, in the summertime?
That's my point. I mean, those are the little things. You need to give people a career, a possibility to grow. They need to be confident in the future with you. But basically, we're in competition with colleagues of ours, and you have to prove that we are capable to attract the right people.
So let's go back to just the expansion and that. What was there? Were you working with Shane at the EDC or the Jacksonville EDC? Were they helping along this way? Or
Absolutely. Shane and his, what's his name? I've only been for a year and a half, almost 2 years now. Because Shane had a predecessor. Shane wasn't here when we started making the deal, but Jetco has always been very cooperative, showing us the way, how to go, where. I know they're with their system, finding the right locations. We're looking at different locations from what we have now. I mean, there's always issues when you're building something, with stuff you don't expect. And Jetco is they know the way around these things. They know who to contact. They are able to put it back into perspective and make it solvable. And as such, they're really an excellent partner, and they help us a little bit financially too. I mean, that's also, of course, that's also part of the deal. So the cooperation with Jetco, with Shane and his team, is very good. And I think it will only, as we are now finally, because it took a while, then this investment that we have in total, we're talking about, it's about 45 million now. It's about money. So now we're beginning to have something to talk about, And up to now, it was basically the old business. And it is us building new business, but it's not bringing new jobs. So that is, all of that is starting now. So for us to have a more, be more present in the society here, to have contacts with the schools, to make sure that the kids consider us as a future employer, all of that PR work that we basically need to do, and that's a two-way street. That is Jetco and schools helping us, but also us offering them what they require for their students. So to develop these programs together or to participate in those programs is I think, one of the most important aspects of being a part of the community.
When you think about sort of the future there of Jacksonville and what you're building, and being tied into the community and making that connection, like you talked about with the school district and other things, what is something that excites you about the future there in Jacksonville?
Well, specifically about Jacksonville, I must be honest. I mean, we could be in Jacksonville, we could be in Longview, we could be. That really doesn't make a difference, in which city you are. But I think what we're seeing here in Jacksonville is, at this moment, there is a very strong push from a number of companies in our business. And I think it gives opportunity. If you want to develop into a certain set of competence, as in terms of what skills do you offer, whether you offer as learning programs in the schools. Jacksonville has maneuvered itself with Jetco together in a fairly interesting position. Now, there is really a cluster of companies that is investing here at this moment in time, and they all have the same challenges. But they're all operating in similar markets. They bring a lot of potential to Jacksonville, and we need to be supported by, let's say, we are part of what's making Jacksonville attractive, but at the same moment, it's important that people can find housing, people can find good schools. It's a two-way street. You can't support the jobs, but people need to be convinced that this is a place where you can live and not just a place where you retire. Which I think is the case in many ways, but also that you can go in here and find a job that is well paid, that will allow you to raise a family, that will allow you to have either 401k and corporate health care, and on top of that, you're in a wonderful environment, which is it's not a bad place to live. It's not Dallas or New York City, but it's certainly pleasant to be.
What's one thing you would share as we kind of wrap up our time here with other business owners or companies looking to move into East Texas or just a move in general to Texas? Is there something that you would share as sort of a tip or, hey, you need to be thinking about this when you're making a relocation or expansion into Texas? What's something you might share with that business owner?
First of all, I would say don't be too modest when you're doing your plan. Because at this moment, the sky seems to be the limit. So don't hold back. Don't hold back. No, we all know. I'm not going to say everything is bigger in Texas because it's not. It's not true. I don't think the stakes are all that big. So yeah, I've seen bigger. But in our industry, big is beautiful. But I would say immerse yourself in what is really required. I mean, when you're a European company and you come to Texas, the people look the same, but they don't think the same. It is try to understand what is important for your workers. Try to understand what drives them, because when you do so, it will be a lot easier to retain them, to motivate them, and to select the right ones, that you want to have on your team. So you have to do that. Don't assume that because we all speak some sort of English that we all have the same way of thinking. That is not the case. There is really a big difference. And make sure you're ready to go. That's what I would say. Don't look at what you want to offer in terms of products, in terms of services, and make sure they're available at the right standard, the American standard. Once you hit the market, don't go step by step. My experience is it is not an issue of getting a chance here in Texas or in the U.S. The issue is not getting a second chance because you won the first one. So make sure you hit hit the ground running, and don't think you know it all. Okay, that's my very open and honest advice.
No, man, that's perfect. That's what we want, and I love it. Texas may not be perfect, and there's going to be challenges here like there's going to be anywhere else. What we hope is, though, you find an environment that's fertile enough and that there are people that want to help you solve whatever challenges you have, right? And so to your point, you might be struggling with something where you are trying to grow, and so you're planning for growth in that environment, and you come to Texas with that, and you realize that it's a much more fertile place. And it allows you to expand faster and farther and bigger than what you expected.
Well,
and
speed, if I may, speed is the issue. What we found here, when we made our planning, we never expected these dynamics in the verticals in which we operate. I mean, what's happening in data center business? It's kind of crazy, but no, because in our business, traditionally, it was scheduling for 5-6% growth on an annual basis. And then you have certain drivers like refrigerant change and everything, and it would go to 10%. But now when you look at data center, the numbers are outrageous. They're outrageous for any industry. So you need to be faster. First of all, you need to recognize what you're seeing. You need to, let's say, get yourself to that stage where saying, well, this is actually happening, because, it's just a hype. How long can you maintain it's just a hype? This is something, and even if it's just a hype, if it's a hype that's going on for 10 years, I mean, you better ride the wave,
Right.
And then you simply, the sheer scale of things is incredible. And the fascination that you get is that all of a sudden, it's like when in the past in our business, you were working on cooling a supermarket, or you were, doing a cold store, but then all of a sudden it's AI. It is rockets You know, it feels a little bit like science fiction when you look at the sort of projects that are coming in. In terms of technology, it's not so much different, but the applications are just, what should I say, they're way more sexy than they used to.
I like it. Yeah. Well, Ronald, thank you so much. I've enjoyed our conversation. I appreciate you spending some time with us today. I'm so happy that Shane connected us and allowed us this opportunity to look at what you guys are doing. And I appreciate your investment. Say, thank you for being here in Texas. We're happy to have you, and we're glad that you've made the investment, and we look forward to seeing what you guys do in the future. So thank you very much.
Let's do the next one on site.
I love it. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us today. Ronald, thank you for joining us on another episode of Gone to Texas. If you found value in today's show, please don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, subscribe, so more business owners can discover what's possible here in the Lone Star State. If you're serious about relocating or expanding your business here in Texas, stop wasting time guessing. The Texas Economic Development Connection exists to connect you faster with the people and communities like Shane and Jetco, ready to help you grow in the Lone Star State. So don't admire Texas from a distance. Start building your future here today. Visit us at texasedconnection.com. Set up a call, and you'll learn how we can help you move to Texas. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, saying bye for now, and until next time, make it a great day. All right, let me hit the stop button.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Gone to Texas, the official podcast of the Texas Economic Development Connection, powered by Day One Experts, a collection of the country's best-known economic development professionals offering on-demand services to communities across the nation.